So let me preface this by saying yesterday I woke up with both a sore throat and a message from Menasha that could I please speak. So I am a little less on my game than I typically would be, but we'll give it a shot. This is called Beginning Your Speech. It is part of the Better Speaker series. The Better Speaker series and the Successful Club series are two sections of speeches that were put out by Toastmasters International a long time ago and only recently became part of the Pathways requirements. I'm on level 4 of presentation mastery, and we need to give a Better Speaker Series speech and a Successful Club Series speech. Now, the difference between these two sets, the Successful Club Series speeches are really about the club, getting more members, being welcoming to people, running meetings efficiently. The Better Speaker series is really more personal. It is about the speeches themselves. And it's how to improve yourself. So the topics that are in Better Speaker series are about choosing the right topic, beginning a speech, closing a speech, avoiding or rather coping with nerves and anxiety, things in that nature. So the criteria for a successful opening. Number one, you want to get the attention of the audience. That means not having distractions. I personally see there as quite a difference when it comes to distractions when you're talking about a Zoom meeting versus an in-person meeting. I've been coming to meetings for 2 years, and I'm fairly certain that in the in-person meetings in those 2 years, we've had maybe one phone ring in that time. That's about it. That's pretty good. Whereas on Zoom, we're on our own computers. We have family at home. Perhaps we have distractions, pets. Our computer is right there. We could be looking up something else. We need to avoid those distractions. In addition, to get the attention of the audience, you need to introduce the topic, the what and the why. Why are you talking about this? What are you going to be telling them? You need to establish rapport. And that means smiling, maybe eye contact, showing enthusiasm. When we talk about the beginning of a speech, Toastmasters recommends that the intro be less than 5 to 10% of the entire speech time. In a typical 5 to 7 minute speech, you're talking maybe 30 seconds. That's quite a short amount of time. The meat of the speech should really be most of the time. The first thing you need to do is state the importance of the topic. Tell the listeners why the topic is important to them. For example, if you were giving a speech about sun protection, like using sunscreen and sunglasses, you would start off saying, a tan might be glamorous and might make you feel a little bit prettier, but that overexposure to the sun, it's going to age your skin prematurely. You're going to get wrinkles. It can cause skin cancer. This is why it's important to protect yourself from the harmful rays of the sun. I think Eliza just did a great job with this by telling us about the importance of eating healthy. And she was not specifically talking about those with families, those with little kids who might be picky eaters. She's talking about everybody because that kind of topic appeals to everybody. Everybody has to purchase food, prepare food, deal with food, deal with the consequences of maybe making a poor decision. You can make a startling statement. Smoking kills. More Americans die each year than were killed in battle during World War II and Vietnam put together. When you say something that's kind of shocking like that, That gets people's interest, gets them to listen further. I can think of two examples of speeches that were given in our club that did this. One was Laura, and I remember this very strongly when she gave a fairly spontaneous speech when she had just gotten on to the admitted to the Supreme Court bar. And I love this. She didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare. And so we didn't know what the topic was going to be. I don't think it was in the agenda. And she just started talking and she says something shocking like, so I've been admitted to the Supreme Court bar. And wow, that really caught us. There was another speech much more recently that Rachel gave. She was talking about organ donation. And there were some statistics given that were very surprising. I believe it was like how many people could be saved by the donation of organs from one person, and some other additional statistics that were really quite surprising that the average person wouldn't necessarily know. You can arouse suspense or curiosity. You say things related to the topic that piques listeners' interest. If you were to start off a speech and you say, my roommate John is kind of dopey, but I don't care because I just hang around all day. I eat lasagna. I don't do a whole lot. Okay, we're talking about Garfield here. You wouldn't expect that. The example provided by Toastmasters in this section is a similar one. I enjoy lying around the house all day. I don't care if you never come home from work as long as you leave me some food. I'm a cat. You can tell a story or an anecdote. My brother and I went hunting last week in the woods behind my house. Now, to tell a good story, you're going to want to make it specific and personalize it. You could be telling this story as two guys went hunting somewhere one time. But this way, you personalized it. You talked about my brother and I. It was last week. It was in the woods behind my house. Very specific. I personally gave a speech a while back about my high school graduation and how 25% of my high school class of 350 people, they went to Stanford. I personalized it by talking about my class and I set the scene for the day. You can ask a rhetorical question. Do you know what to do if your child begins to choke? Does money grow on trees? We're not looking for an answer. It's a rhetorical question. With the purpose of asking a rhetorical question is to get the audience to think about the answer and maybe come back to it. They probably won't be sharing the answer to it, but they can think about it and think of how they would answer in their mind. You can begin with a quotation. It's a good way to attract attention. It adds authority to a speech. It can amuse the audience. It can dramatize a speech point. And the sources of quotes, I think it's become more acceptable in recent years to get quotes from lay people, friends and family, coworkers, the internet, books, TV, podcasts, movies. It's not the go to Bartlett's quotations anymore and just famous presidents and such. It can be helpful to reference the occasion. Now, this is more for speaking at an event. If, let's say, for example, there's the opening of a new school, and you might be starting off, ladies and gentlemen, 15 years ago, we were told by the town council that we didn't have the money to build a school. We were told that the kids had to keep going to their old place and we'll get some mobile trailers. and it wasn't going to happen. But we're so proud of that we were able to raise the money and work together as a community, and we could accommodate this. They're mentioning the occasion. It's an important event. They've obviously come for the opening of the school. Some other techniques: humor. You could be funny. You could tell a joke. Audience participation. I noticed this a lot at the Toastmasters area contest recently. Several of the speakers, they would ask the audience a question. How many of you here have done this? How many of you have felt like this? They don't necessarily need the answer from the audience. They're just getting the general idea and participation. You can give a demonstration. I remember Abigail gave a demonstration of braiding challah. That was very fun to watch. You can reference a historical event. Whatever you decide to do, make sure that it's relevant to the topic and the audience. So some of the things that you want to avoid. Number one, avoid acknowledging the amount of preparation. And I am very guilty of this today. I did this. I know I did this. It does not help things to say, I'm sorry, I was really not prepared for this. Thank you for coming, but I didn't have a chance to prepare for it. Unless it really matters to the topic, it's not very helpful. You want to avoid being dull and boring. Today, my speech is about the breakthrough of space travel. Okay, not very interested. Finally, you don't want to delay mentioning the actual topic. That's not exciting and a fun surprise. If the audience doesn't know what the subject matter is and what they're going to be listening for, the purpose of the speaker's message, they're going to lose focus. So it doesn't help to avoid saying it. Now, some people write the beginning of a speech after they have written the body of the speech because it helps them more clearly identify the important points they want to make. You can do that, and then you will know very specifically what you would like to leave as a lasting impression. The introduction is the most important thing because it gets people thinking about what they should be listening for. And on that note, I will be concluding. Thank you very much.